Alexander Lavelle Harris is one of the main characters in Buffy the Vampire Slayer, one of the main members of the Scoobies, the term that's used in-universe and by fans to refer to Buffy and her friends. He's basically the Sokka of the group, if Sokka sucked forever. He's the only person in the Scoobies with no exceptional skills or superpowers. He's not smart like Giles, he can't do magic like Willow, he doesn't have super strength and a healing factor like Buffy does. He's just a guy.
There are 3 things of note. First, he is indeed one of the main characters of the show. Second, he is described as the Sokka of the group. And in terms of how he is the only one in the team who is a regular human, this is also true. Though unlike Sokka, Xander is not the brains of the team, devising their battle strategies. He does make up for this with grit and an unwillingness to abandon his friends, regardless of the situation, even if it means risking his own life. This is not always presented as a positive because in his desire to protect his friends, he can, on occasion, hurt them. The third is how Cosmo presents Xander here, claiming he sucks and is hated, because he never changes. This is a concluding statement, front-loading the video so the points are approached with the intention of piling on negatives without exploring any positives. This is an approach to analysis. However, the result is often the molding of evidence to support the conclusion rather than deciphering if the character's actions are good or bad, especially when arguments are constructed in the hopes of justifying one's feelings, merging emotion with information, and likely distorting what narratively is. Naturally, as a human, I'm not immune to this, but will try to stick to the evidence as best I can. This is why it is often preferable to take the core points, explore them thoroughly, and then reach your conclusion, decreasing the odds of arguments being made in bad faith.
Now, normally this archetype is associated with a lot of beloved characters. There's a lot to love about a character who's just a normal guy trying to make it in a world of wackiness. But normally those characters are beloved for the unique aspects they bring to that group. They might offer humor and serve as necessary comedic relief. They might offer a unique perspective that gets the group out of sticky situations. Xander's different in that he doesn't really offer any of that. Xander Harris is a rude, unfunny, misogynistic moron. His entire role in the story revolves around saying unfunny comments and being horny for every female character in the series.
Till now, whenever Xander has been brought up in this video, he has been described with increasingly denigrating statements, piling them atop one another without, yet, taking the time to elaborate why or how Cosmo came to this conclusion, only that he has, and we as the viewer need to take it on faith he can justify his position. There is the minor point of him describing such a fictional world as one of wackiness. This is likely meant to be an attempt at humor, something quite prevalent in this video. It has the effect of making a topic entertaining, points more memorable, and engaging the viewer. It is also used as a distraction from things that make no sense, preventing the viewer from marinating on the information before the host moves on swiftly to get away from the break in logic. In short, it has the ability to enhance material or distract from it. Finally, using charged vocabulary such as misogynistic primes the viewer towards hating the character regardless of the evidence one way or another. All the more so because once one has been branded as such, proven or not, it is a reputation rarely, if ever, shaken as it induces an emotional reaction because harm towards women, in general, should not be a thing. Then again, being called a bigot sandwich these days usually indicates said person likely has a point worth listening to.
He's a bad friend to Buffy, which isn't a quality that's unique to him, but he does it in a way that particularly makes me angry. He's the only aspect of the show that has aged badly, and it has made it very difficult to recommend this show because whenever somebody turns the series on for the first time, they meet him and realize, wow, this guy fucking sucks. Wait, he's in every episode? There is actually one episode that he's not in, and it's a really good one.
We are given the additional information that not only is Xander the worst TV character, but so much so to the point it makes Cosmo angry, while giving anecdotes about how people in his sphere reacted to his introduction, allegedly. In short, Xander sucks. Reference, trust me bro. We are more than a fifth of the way through a 50+ minute long video, and Cosmo has repeatedly let us know he hates Xander. while continually describing him in a derogatory manner, without substantiating any of it with his actions in the context of the show. I am slowly convinced this video is an excuse to justify Cosmo's feelings, rather than exploring whether what he says is accurate or not.
Xander is introduced to us at the beginning of the first episode. The first thing he does is he sees Buffy, and he ogles at her. Then he meets with his female best friend Willow, selfishly asks her to do something for him, and then continues to obsess over the gorgeous girl he just saw. Now I can already hear some people say, okay, I think you just hate this character because he's a horny man. What, boys can't be boys anymore? No, listen, I don't care about that. I have no problem with a high school boy in a TV show being obsessed with girls. That is normal. What isn't normal is that this introduction to Xander shows us exactly the type of person he is going to be for the entire show.
First off, Xander ogling sets up visually the students of Sunnydale have not seen her before, that she stands out from the crowd while Xander develops feelings for her. Relevant in Prophecy Girl because it mobilizes him while all others are held back in fear of the Master being freed. Going so far as to approach Angel, forcing him to help and working together to save her life, preventing the apocalypse. Next, asking Willow for something. How the statement is phrased by Cosmo is incredibly disingenuous. Taking the information piece by piece, she is female, she is his best friend, he does ask her to do something for him, and it is to his own benefit in the long run. All this in isolation is true, but together within the scene it transforms into something different. Let's listen to what he says.
You know, I kinda had a problem with the math.
Oh, which part?
The math. Can you help me out tonight, please? Be my study buddy.
Well, what's in it for me?
A shiny nickel.
This shows he is not academic and needs help, highlighting a determination in him to try despite his inadequacy, emphasizing that no matter how unsuited he is to the task, he is not one to give up. This is compounded by the fact he is asking Willow for help. She is academically gifted and wants him to succeed, showing in a small way that he would happily jump into the thick of it for those he cares about, even when he sees no benefit to himself, as in The Harvest when he follows Buffy to the sewers despite the tremendous danger to help her look for Jesse. It also establishes his close friendship with Willow, something that will be paid off in spades come season 6 where, in her grief, she attempts to end the world, yet Xander, powerless as he is, faces her, because she is his best friend.
The characters in Buffy start the series as teenagers. They end the series as adults, and Xander stays basically the same for the entire show. My biggest problem with this character isn't any of the numerous flaws that I mentioned earlier. Xander is allowed to have flaws. This is a show where everybody, even the squeakiest, cleanest characters, have a gigantic and catastrophic personality flaw. But the difference is that Xander is the only character that never changes into a character that we can enjoy watching.
Cosmo is correct in saying the characters start the show as teens and end as adults, while being quite flawed. In the last statement, however, quality is merged with enjoyability. Two aspects, despite having some correlation, are not directly related. For example, Schindler's List, very good. Enjoyable, debatable. The Room, enjoyable, good, hardly. Having the quality of Xander's character writing be intermingled with the viewer's emotional reaction purposefully obfuscates the line separating what is provable and what is emotional.
He's not the only character that starts off annoying. In episode 1, we're also introduced to Cordelia, the stereotypical mean girl, and she's meant to piss us off. Most people who hate Skylar White would probably hate Cordelia too. But Cordelia is one of my favorite characters because she's well written.
I don't get it. Buffy's a Slayer. Shouldn't she have...
What, a license to kill?
Shouldn't there be different rules for her?
Sure, in a fascist society.
Right! Why can't we have one of those?
Even when she's in her season 1 and 2 mean girl mode, she's fucking hilarious. The writers kinda popped off with her dialogue.
I have to have the most expensive thing. Not because it's expensive, but because it costs more.
You know,
Hello, Miss Motormouth. Can I get a sentence finished?
And she quickly grows out of the stereotypical mean girl persona and becomes one of the most heroic characters in the series.
Cordelia, as the mean girl, is meant to piss off the audience and does a good job in doing so. It's not until Out of Sight, Out of Mind, a different dimension to her is revealed. vulnerability and isolation masked by the mean girl as a coping mechanism, recontextualizing who she was. A mask she slowly discards in favor of being herself rather than a manufactured version meant to embody what should be popular. This is a form of personal growth, yes, but being mean is not what she grew out of. Rather, building up the assuredness to be who she is and spending her time with who she wants, rather than who is popular. Cosmo then speaks about how Cordelia is one of his favorite characters because she is well written, once again blurring the line between what is good and what he likes. Does this imply that his favorite characters are those who are well written? What are his standards in coming to the conclusion a character is well written? Is it simply a matter of him realizing he likes them and considers them well written as a result?
In Season 1, Willow is a nerd who can't talk good and dresses like a fucking Cabbage Patch Kid. But by the end of the series, she becomes an Elder tier wizard. Buffy starts as a sassy, cool girl with a lot of hope and optimism. But by the end of the series, she's forced to grow up and becomes the strongest personification of raw depression that I've ever seen in a television show character.
Willow is an incredibly wholesome character at the start, the way she dresses highlighting her innocence, and contrasting fantastically against Vampire Willow in the alternate timeline. Over the years, she transforms from a naive teenager to a capable young woman, while also shifting from a character who is incredibly tech-savvy to a witch so powerful she has to be wary of how she uses it for fear of hurting not only herself, but those around her. Magic being akin to a drug in this universe. Buffy and her storyline is interesting because, due to the various trials she endures, not only as a teen but also as a slayer, and the constant tragedy she experiences over the course of her young life. Despite the humor she engages in, she is forced to make peace with the overwhelming negative emotions trapped inside her, prompting her to grow in a way that is different from Willow and Xander, who himself has a different path to adulthood, relatable to many men who choose to forego further education in favor of joining the workforce.
While their core personalities stay intact, everybody has a lot of growing up to do in Buffy, but not Xander. He starts off as a little shit and he ends the show as a little shit. Out of the 7 seasons of Buffy, I'd say Xander in season 1 through 3 can be classified as incel Xander. Then Xander in seasons 4 through 7 are what I'd call stupid older brother Xander who thinks he's wiser than he is.
That is certainly a perspective, insofar as him charging into the front lines of the various fights the team has to engage in order to ensure Sunnydale's survival. He also tries to lighten the mood when things get heavy and everyone is feeling down. He stands out because he is the everyman, representing the average man and woman they fight to protect. He starts off immature, but with every season that passes and the more he is tested, his altruism, loyalty, and courage are pulled out of him. Furthermore, his own family does not think much of him, using humor as a coping mechanism to endure the life he lives, and because of how much he cares for his friends, tosses himself into danger because he would rather get hurt instead of the people he loves, revealing why he is the way he is. This offers him a unique point of view from the others. Buffy as the Slayer, Giles as the Watcher, groomed from a young age for this role, Willow and Tara both witches, Anya a demon, Angel and Spike vampires, and Dawn a magical spell.
So let's start with Incel Xander, because those early seasons are where a lot of my biggest problems begin. Now Xander's story arc in season 1 is very simple. He has a crush on Buffy, he wants to ask her out. At the same time though, he's aware that his best friend Willow is madly in love with him. He simply does not care. Now, we're never made privy to why Xander doesn't want to date Willow. For these first few seasons, it's very apparent that Willow likes him, and even Xander knows this. He just doesn't give a fuck. But at the same time, Xander is desperate for validation and attention, both of which he gets from Willow regularly. Honestly, we're only shown one potential reason why he doesn't like Willow back. And it's because she's not as hot as the other girls.
At this point, incel as a word has lost all meaning, alongside bigot, racist, misogynist, and the like. Where once such a label would be catastrophic to an individual, now they might have something worth listening to, regardless of whether it is agreeable or not. In season 1, Xander does indeed have a wee crush on Buffy, highlighted multiple times over the course of the season. even asking her out in Prophecy Girl. Willow, in turn, has feelings towards Xander, though at no point does he show he knows this, repeatedly thinking of her as one of the guys as opposed to a young woman he can be in a relationship with. The closest example lending credence to Cosmo's point comes in the pack. Even then, the evidence is dubious because he was possessed by the spirit of a hyena and was talking about spending time with her as a whole, trying to discredit their friendship rather than any romantic feelings in order to hurt Willow. Regarding Cosmo's statement of him wanting validation and attention, this is also off the mark. There are many instances where he remains quiet when he knows he is out of his depth, leaving the conversation with a quip or a witty retort as he has nothing else to offer. Shown often when Giles is explaining something and he is unable to follow things. What he is desperate to prove is that he is of use to the team, yet recognizing his limitations. He is not strong, nor is he particularly intelligent. Instead, he helps people escape so Buffy can focus on fighting, and throws his body on the line to protect Giles and Willow. Finally, the reason why Xander does not want to date Willow is because he does not see her that way, and does not realize she is in love with him. It's just that simple.
Willow is not very good at hiding the fact that she's in love with Xander, and it upsets her deeply when Xander openly ignores her and obsesses over Buffy.
I should ask her out, right?
Won't know till you ask.
That's why you're so cool. You're like a guy. You're my guy friend that knows about girl stuff.
Oh, great.
There are a few moments in these early episodes where he briefly entertains her whims, but it feels like he's doing it because he's bored. It doesn't feel genuine. He only considers Willow's feelings for him when it's convenient or when he's run out of other options.
Willow is not great at hiding her feelings for Xander, an aspect of her character established early when Buffy easily figures it out in Welcome to the Hellmouth. She tries to hide it as best she can when she is with Xander and is hurt when he talks about his feelings for Buffy. However, saying he openly ignores her feelings is a significant misreading of what happens. Cosmo claims Xander briefly entertains her whims because he is bored. The visual reference he uses is the opening scene of Season 2. What happens directly after is Buffy returning to Sunnydale after summer vacation and Xander fawning over her, showing he still has a crush on her. Looking at the scene preceding this, there is some romantic tension between Xander and Willow, a moment where Xander is on the cusp of realizing that deep down, while he has a crush on Buffy, he may have deeper feelings towards his oldest friend, Willow. If anything, this scene shows what he feels for Buffy is a distraction from what he feels for Willow, setting up the foundations of the two of them cheating on their significant others with each other as a result of their mutual emotions coming to the surface. This is reinforced in The Wish, where, following the fallout of their infidelity being found out, Cordelia makes a wish where Buffy never came to Sunnydale, creating an alternate reality where Xander and Willow are in a relationship as vampires, having been turned because Buffy was never here to protect everyone. Cosmo's assertion Willow is a casual dalliance he indulges in because he is bored is wholly untrue because of the adultery and the alternate world storyline present in Season 3, making it all the more obvious what he feels towards Willow is the genuine article at this point in his life, rather than the puppy love he has towards Buffy during Season 1 and early Season 2.
He also hates Angel, the mysterious man that Buffy is now obsessed with. But again, this is not a problem in a vacuum. It is perfectly reasonable for the guy who's in love with Buffy to be jealous of the guy that she likes. It allows for an interesting dynamic in the early seasons. In Season 1, Xander is annoying, but we just met him, so the hope is that he'll learn from his mistakes and, grow as a character. Throughout the season, though, he has a lot of moments that show just what kind of person he is. He's very selfish, and not in a cute way. He has a way of making everything about him.
Xander, this is deeply dangerous.
I'm inadequate. That's fine. I'm less than a man.
But worst of all, he's not funny.
Initially, Xander did not like Angel because Buffy liked him. When revealed he is a vampire, his opinion only deteriorates, even if he is willing to work with him to defeat the current evil. His perspective is formed when his friend Jesse is turned into a vampire, and all vampire interactions following this is of them being hunted. This is amplified in Season 2 when Angel loses his soul, becoming a villain, killing those close to the group and tormenting them, prompting him to hide the fact Willow is able to return his soul, so Buffy kills him. This mistrust is directed towards Spike when he joins the team, being rendered harmless to humans as a result of the chip implanted into his brain. He keeps him tied up for fear he may harm someone like he did in Season 2. In short, Xander hates vampires, and has a point, even if his friends and the viewers are more accepting of them. Vampires in this world are cruel, and there is no telling what would trigger a spell to be lifted or a piece of circuitry to fail, as these spells and tech are either lost to time or are experimental with not a lot of information. Regarding his selfishness, he risked his life to help Buffy look for Jesse, kept a witch at bay long enough for Buffy to be healed, having been freed from possession, does not think twice before launching himself at a threat to save Willow, stands up to a demon mech, saves Giles from being guillotined, and forces Angel to lead him to the Master's lair to save Buffy from the prophecy of the Codex, all in Season 1. If anything, there is a blatant disregard for his own safety as he throws himself in the way to try and help the people he cares about. The clip Cosmo plays is from The Harvest, following Jesse's abduction and Willow's near demise. Buffy goes to rescue Jesse despite knowing he is likely either dead or a vampire. Xander's offer to help is rejected, hence his reaction. To add context, while helping Willow and Jesse escape at night, they are ambushed and he is knocked out. Willow fends for herself, and Jesse is taken away before Buffy reaches them. With how much he cares for his friends and despite being clearly out of his depth, sees this as his failing because he was unable to protect them. This clip is of his frustration towards himself for not being strong enough, yet overcomes this and helps in what way he can. The final point is about him not being funny. There are many instances where those around him don't find him funny. With how grim things tend to get with death surrounding them, he tries to lift the mood, trying to maintain some levity and optimism, futile as it can be at times. Initially, this is an endearing quality, trying to ease the burden on his friends. Though as the show goes on, and more of his family life is revealed, he may be using humor as a coping mechanism for the way his family treats him, as the runt that won't amount to anything, which, upon a rewatch, recontextualizes the humor in these early seasons as him trying to calm himself so he does not get overwhelmed. Ultimately, if Cosmo does not find Xander funny, that's fine. All I can do is try to explain why Xander behaves the way he does.